kind me.
That's what I mean.
Kind of gently,
Kind
Mark.
of gently, yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I can't believe you said that. Crushed. Okay, we have a 6:30 A&R for 550 Newtown Road. We know you gotta get out of here, you gotta go to your meeting, so that's why we...
Well, I very much appreciate all of you coming in. This was a little time sensitive. And I was away at your meeting last time. So,
Just don't write it.
this is, if I can orient you, this is what was the storage facility building and foundation mortgage on the corner of Newtown Road where Tehadawon comes in. And it's owned by GB Development LLC. They have frontage on Fort Pond, and what they wanted to do in conjunction with Sarah Seward is to sell her the frontage along Fort Pond as a protective barrier strip so that nobody who buys the property in the future or develops it has access to the pond. And so what they've negotiated between them is that they would, if you approve this A&R deed, that strip and this uplands parcel to Sarah Seward. And that just takes this GB development, commercial development or commercial building away from accessing the pond. That's a sensitive area, and she's trying to protect Fort Pond.
So they have no use for it. In other words, they're not
They
going
don't
to.
have any use for it.
So
And
where's-
they have no access to it. It's all swampy and marshland. And so they have no reason to ever access it, but she's a steward, has been a steward for conservation and for the pond for years, so she had this opportunity and wanted it protected.
So, where's the road that takes you to Wilton Lumber back there? Is that?
It's Omega, right
That's
there.
Omega Way, and it's probably shown on the inset map.
That's
It
right
is.
in here.
And the end of Omega Way, I think, is owned by, what's her name?
Who's your-
Vera.
You're Vera Cohen.
Yeah. I think that's on there, actually.
Right here.
So this is parcel A is over here.
Yep.
That's that.
So this really doesn't impact Omega Way or any of the properties there. It's just really that little strip around. If you look at the inlay, you can see that.
I'm curious if this isn't really usable land, if it's marshy anyways, why, I mean, isn't it kind of by default already protected?
Yeah, except this upland piece. So you could theoretically canoe from Sarah's to the upland piece and have a picnic.
Oh, okay.
And that would just give it privacy.
Privacy to who?
To anybody having a picnic on parcel A. It's only accessible by the water, but it's,
So it's a spike strip, for lack of a better word. Does it say, that it says not a buildable lot?
I think the only spite was sending the engineers through the briars to get to it and survey it, really.
That is Vera Cohen, so it does nothing to Vera's stuff.
So I've been on that dock that they're showing, the approximate location of, and I've been on this parcel, and it is hard to access other than the access road through the middle of the property the GB development currently holds. And I think it's a great move to try to protect the pond, and it is accessible. I'm assuming Sarah and the camp might access it for day trips or whatever during the summertime. I think it's a great use of the land, and if it can be protected from development, I don't know why we wouldn't approve this A&R, unless anybody can see a reason that it's detrimental to the town.
So you think parcel A is good open space?
I think parcel A is good protection of Fort
open-
Pond.
Okay.
It's good protection for Fort Pond.
Well, especially because it abuts to this conservation, well, it doesn't abut, does it? That little strip abuts the
How big's the
town's
strip?
own land, right?
It shows 15 feet in width.
and 2.2 acres of parcel A, so it's not a lot of land.
It's pretty much the only upland in the area to the pond too, so why not protect it while we have the opportunity?
And I like the fact this is not a building parcel, so I'm good. Well, there's no frontage anyway, but that's beside the point.
I'll make a motion to endorse the A&R as presented.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
We done? Can we go home now?
Sign, you're not done till the ink dries.
Big Z, you can go first.
You want to sign some copies? You will copy some.
Want copies, Maren?
Sure, a couple would be good.
Do this.
So you provided this.
Maybe that's the same one.
The town has two of them, so we usually borrow them for the meeting.
I just need to tell you.
Want three of them?
You came all this way, you might as well exercise.
Send it this way,
Oh.
Jerry needs to sign.
I need
That's,
that particular marker.
is
to
the
sign
link-
this, though.
The link's not protected, is it?
I just need to go back this
No,
way.
it's all public documents.
You don't want to weigh in at my meeting
So
tonight.
I can't use
Yeah,
the
why
word
don't you check it?
computer for that, but I can bring you a,
About Chucky, what time is Chucky on?
is there one always available?
There's a short one ahead of him, so I'd say 7:35 or
I can always
7:40.
ask. I can promise that we'll
Go
have
ahead
to
in case.
Go downstairs.
Oh, so far you haven't had coffee, no problem.
I don't even understand why you're even doing it. Everybody knows that it's zoned for it.
His counsel in Roland told him to cease and desist. Shelley told him to cease and desist, so we're gonna,
Town council did too?
yeah, town council weighed in, but town council said it was residential, and I don't think.
Wow, do you know anything about Chucky Bells?
Yeah, he's doing the zoning bylaw amendment that you did, allowed him to go to the ZBA for relief.
No, we rezoned
You
it.
did not rezone it. You put it in the overlay district.
Put it in the overlay district.
Right.
Right.
So
That
it's-
has-
They get to
That's
do
an
the
overlay
approval.
district, and
Get your
then,
approval.
so then they have the standing to.
I thought it would come to us.
No,
No?
no.
We gave it to them.
So
Not
you
for
can
use.
approve it then.
Who's got the standing to approve businesses in the overlay district? I thought you had it under the master plan, and you give a special permit to the planning board. Do you think the ZBA gives the special permit?
No, remember, we didn't want them to.
Yeah.
I think it's us.
Send them to us.
But it doesn't qualify for
I'm
a
gonna
special
send it to
permit.
you.
It doesn't qualify for a special permit because it's not big enough.
What is this?
So he needs a use variance and move forward.
So I'm taking this one. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good to see you, Sherry.
Nice seeing you, Sherry.
I'll put one.
Today's date on this?
Yes, I will.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So the 3 acres is what kicks it in then.
Academically, do you have the power to waive the 3 acres? If you-
No,
if
that
you-
would be you.
That would be us, but we can waive the 3 acres, but he's got to apply for variance. From the 3 acres or use.
No, I haven't, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Board business.
Board business, oh yeah, board business, okay. Bills and payroll, we got anything, are we good? You can start bringing those while we do minutes and schedules and,
So I've reviewed the minutes from May 16th and May 23rd. I have no issues. It reads clear.
anyone else? Anna, do you have any issues?
You're
Is there-
so nice to always ask, Mark.
I have this gut feeling that you might have something, you know?
No, actually, I do not have any comments on the content. However, at the very bottom of the May 23rd meeting, Maureen, it has a date of September 7th, 2017.
It's on the footer. Okay.
But that's it.
That was just to see if you were watching.
I was. See, she put that there so that I would catch that.
Anything else? Public input? Anybody? So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented to us.
I made the motion, but
Does anyone want to second that motion?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Mr. Chair, if I may, while we're going over
Okay.
public input, we have somebody who is our new town administrator before us tonight, just to introduce her to us and anybody. We are the most popular show on TV in Littleton, so now's your chance to introduce yourself to the town.
Good to know. Thank you for that opportunity, and I'm delighted to be here and delighted to get to know you all a little bit more. So,
That's for Mark.
other than that, I don't really have much more to say.
I'm sorry.
It's still a learning
That's all right.
curve for me, and happy to go through it so that I can get my feet planted.
We wish you luck, and if you ever want to come see us, our door is always open.
Thank you.
And on a serious note, when you're looking for history for the town of Littleton, there's nobody more historic than this gentleman sitting
No,
next to me.
please, hey, you skipped.
No, it's just you,
Why?
because you're the important one.
The department head is, well, appointing authority, chair of the appointing authority,
It's supposed to be
is
just,
supposed to sign that one. Or that's paperwork for the turnover of the fiscal year.
Oh, good.
Jerry signed it.
Yeah.
he's important.
Sign.
Oh, I
Don't pass it down.
Yeah, don't pass that one down. I should have said something when I handed it out, I'm sorry.
See how Frazzle's like that?
So is that Kiesel, John?
Thank you.
So you'll be here a lot.
So how long have you been on the job? A month?
Yeah, less than.
Less than a month? I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Littleton's a great town.
I'm already.
People are very nice.
Except when they're not.
The people are very, very nice.
Sometimes they're nice.
Sometimes they're nice,
Yeah, right. Depends on what they're proposing to build in their backyard.
Yes.
Right.
Nice. How about board member updates? You want to know where we know what's going on? Mine, I'm sorry I missed the other meeting, the senior residential housing trust fund.
Yep.
Can you bring me up to speed? How was that?
Well, I was on roller skates. I stayed for part of it and then went to the master plan meeting after
Oh.
that. But Jennifer Van Kampen from Metro West Collaborative Development was there to work with the group on the rental voucher program, on details of that. She has had some great suggestions on how to format it so that it was easy to administer, or not difficult to administer.
And then wasn't there also a housing conference you attended? Was there anything interesting that came out of that?
That was a great conference. It was great that a whole group of Littleton residents were able to attend. Bartlett Harvey, Cindy Napoli, and who else was sitting there? I'm drawing a blank at the moment. Yeah, Liz Trediak, the Elder and Human Services Director, were there. And they had a lot of, CHAPA puts this on every year, and it's at Devon's. It's a great two-day training opportunity for affordable housing and housing development. And
Anyone else? Any other?
I just wanted to update on the form-based code. The next step is going to be our meeting on July 25th, where they will bring a draft of the proposed code, and so we'll have a brief conference call with them before that July 25th meeting. But this brings up an opportunity for any other board member who would like to work with me on form-based code, because Peter Scott, who is no longer on the board, had originally stepped up to work with me on it. So if there are any volunteers, please let me know. It's fun, really.
Sounds it.
I don't even understand what form-based code is, but
Perfect volunteer.
Yeah, volunteer, and then
See?
you'll really get to know more.
So that segues right into our upcoming meetings. So meeting on the 18th, everybody's good for July 18th. And then we have form-based coding on July 25th. And then we have a meeting on August 15th. I'll hopefully attend. It's my birthday, but I'll come. And September 5th, right?
I promise to take you out for drinks after.
No. I'll come anyway. And we have a June 26th town meeting?
Special town meeting.
Special town meeting?
Does anybody want to speak to the subject matter on that special town meeting, just so we can make people aware that may be watching? Is anybody aware of what it's for?
Well, I've gotten the
short version?
thumbnail version of it. There was a citizen's petition to amend town bylaws to change how town facilities and town buildings and fields are rented, and so that they could be rented to private parties, I guess. There's
And my understanding is that the Board of Selectmen voted not to support the proposal.
Parking.
And Park and Rec as well, and the library trustees, I think, also voted not to support the special town meeting proposal.
Conservation Commission and Parks and Rec as well.
So I have a little bit of understanding too, and what it is basically the memorandum of understanding. They're trying to basically circumvent the non-compete clause that the Park and Rec has with the town. And the way this was sold, when the citizen petition was being asked to be signed, they basically said, hey, we just want to give free tennis lessons to seniors and kids. But it turns out that they have a proposal to basically reorganize and privatize Park and Rec, is my opinion on how it's listed. So, as a member of the board, in the synopsis that I just gave you, I was hoping that we could take a vote to also not support the proposal at
So
special
I
town
might
meeting.
characterize that a little differently, since it's the tennis coach who couldn't get his seniors to play tennis that summer because Park and Rec vetoed him. So the whole point was, they want to have a way to get facilities to use for not just private events, but even school-related events without having to go through Park and Rec. And we already have precedent in the town. I mean, we already run a private basketball league that doesn't fall under Park and Rec, so I don't know what the issue is.
And the non-compete clause.
Well, they already have, that's what I'm saying, you already have a basketball league that doesn't even have to deal with Park and Rec. So why can't the track coach, and the tennis coach do the same thing?
I don't think it was presented that way, and I think if you read what he was presenting to the town, it's not about facilities, just so he can run free tennis lessons for.
That's
seniors.
my recollection of what was presented to me when I was at the dump. when I
Right,
signed
that's
the
what he's
petition.
selling, but if you read what he actually proposes as a amendment.
There's
it's
other
already-
participants who have cited Easter egg hunts that were denied at the high school because it competed with Park and Rec's Easter egg hunt. So there's other examples of people who don't feel they were properly represented by Park and Rec, and that's sort of why that happened. So I wouldn't necessarily say he's wrong. Maybe Park and Rec should take another look at their practices and their governance structure and figure out how they might want to address the problem.
So unfortunately, it's too close for us to even take a vote. We haven't seen it.
Well,
We don't know.
I'm not going to vote against it.
We don't have a copy of it, so we can.
It was distributed all over town.
Yeah, it's-
It's on the TV right there, if you'd like to.
I know, okay, that's real good.
As an analogy, I wonder if a private group were to come into town and to ask the school department for a few rooms in the school building. Can you step up to the microphone?
And please identify yourself.
That's right, there's no microphones in these ceilings in this room.
As an analogy, Nina Nazarian, Town Administrator, as an analogy, if a private school business were to approach the school department and the school superintendent and the school committee and ask if they could utilize space in one of the school buildings to start a private school, and you use the children from from Littleton Public Schools and put them in their private school system, is that something we would be favorable? Now, maybe this is one type of apple and another type of apple as an analogy. Maybe it's not same kind of apple to same kind of apple, but this is the way I've wondered this question. If you have that situation, I doubt that the school department would say, sure, you can use the space of our children, of our school, and you can do so and take the head count out of our schools and use that space to run your own private business. They wouldn't say yes to that. And so I see that as somewhat similar to what this citizen's petition is requesting, that essentially we allow them to utilize public space to perhaps teach tennis lessons using public space, and that opportunity is taken away to some degree from the Parks and Recreation Department.
Is
Okay,
it-
wait,
offering
we
it
already
for
have
free?
towns doing that. Acton does it. Acton runs Russian math. They teach Chinese. They're all private, and they all do it in the high school and junior high. There's already precedent for that. I mean, to me, it's a governance issue, and it should be based on available space. I mean, obviously, you'd have to pay for the facility, so it's not like they're using school facilities at public expense. But if the space is available and they could be used, it's not otherwise being utilized, then why would Park and Rec veto the request?
If it doesn't compete with any of their programs, wouldn't it also be a way to make money?
Correct.
I mean, it could be money that goes towards Parks and Rec.
But is it all about the making of the money? Is that the issue? Is that the tennis court?
I mean,
Why-
it's been presented in different ways by different individuals. The petitioner, from what I could see, and the citizen who has presented this item is presenting it in a way that it could be for free classes or it could be for classes at a cost. It's unclear to me as to what the full, what the future of the intent would be. I don't know.
But
I
who-
can't speak for them.
Who has the right to say yay or nay? Let's say this passes.
Schools and Park and Rec.
School, okay.
Absolutely.
So governance
So it's-
doesn't change.
You need your
Right.
closer to the mic,
May I?
please.
Yeah.
Oh,
But all I'm saying is there's precedent for this. I don't think it's an unreasonable request. I think it's, certainly we shouldn't be giving away public facilities for free. I mean, who's ever going to use them would have to.
If you read it,
to
it
pay.
says it's both for-profit and nonprofit. I think if you read this, the way it's presented, it's not what was presented to you at.
I know, but I'm trying to address the spirit of it. I mean, the fact is, these people have a grievance. They weren't being addressed by Park and Rec. It's not the first time I've heard that story. It's not the
So-
first experience I've had with that
Name-
story, so.
Once he's done, give his name and address.
Yeah, name and address for.
Sure. Judy Reed, Pamela Way. So I was around when they came to me and said it was about the Easter egg hunt. When my kids were little, we used to have an Easter egg hunt, not through Park and Rec, it was at Bumblebee Park. You don't talk to Park and Rec to rent Bumblebee Park, you talk to conservation land. So
Sure.
you keep saying that Park and Rec put it down, but it's nothing to do with Park and Rec if you're talking about space.
Right.
The person that controls that space can say, you know what, we already have something else like that going on in town. Why split the town in two? Why not just have one great event? And that's what was said at the school committee meeting, which was saying, you know what, somebody came to us and asked us to do something at the high school. We noticed that there was another group in town already doing it at, say, the Point. We don't want to overuse our fields, so we suggested they go combine efforts with these other people. So I think that the people that feel jaded aren't looking at the bigger picture, in that we try to have a lot of things that go on in this town, and sometimes we have too much going on in this town, and we split it up. And so there's not a lot of public space here, and we're all fighting for it at the same time. Try to get the multipurpose room. You know, like, you can't get it. You have to book it 6 months in advance. Try to get 103. You know, you guys are up here tonight, right? Because somebody else is in 103. But now if this goes through, my understanding is that it's first come, first serve, and if somebody books it, and then Board of Selectmen say, you know what, I really need that room for such and such, now they can't get it.
That's actually something that I've heard has happened before at the high school, for example, this spring, when the auditorium was booked for so many weekends in a row that even the school play needed to be pushed out.
However, the school auditorium is not the school auditorium. The school auditorium is run by the Performing Arts Center as a private entity, I believe. So that needs to be double checked,
How?
okay? I like, that's my understanding,
Operation and understanding.
but
Why?
I don't know. Every time I've talked to them, because like we had graduation scheduled to be outside last year on Alumni Field, right? And it was gonna rain, and they had 3 different rain dates at different times because they forgot to book the auditorium ahead of time. They thought, okay, everybody knows it's graduation, we're gonna hold the auditorium, but no.
So I think part of why,
Why are we discussing this right now?
Yeah, I'm sorry I brought it up.
All I was looking for was to support the selectmen and the other boards that have voted to not support the proposal at the special town meeting on June 26th. That's why we're discussing.
And I just happened to be around and had more info.
thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
So do you want to, does anyone want to make a motion to do
So
that, or?
I still want to make the motion that if we can vote to support the select board and not support the item on the special town meeting agenda.
I don't think we should do that.
I don't
Let's just
either.
be
I'm not
agnostic.
comfortable.
I have to be honest, I don't know enough to vote for it. I wouldn't feel comfortable.
All right, for the
voting.
record, I don't support it. Yeah, I got it out
Okay.
there.
That's
I-
good.
And I would be in favor of the motion, so.
I just don't know enough, I have to be honest. All right, that was a, well, never mind.
Well, it was a good discussion. How's that?
Yes, okay. Anything else? Meetings were good. Public input, nobody else? Do you, just because there's nothing good on TV?
You're already in trouble, so it's okay.
You don't want to talk about anything, you're good? Anybody else in the audience? I guess not. Anything else?
Yeah, we've got the peer review contract
Oh, yeah.
with Green International. They are available to come and talk with you if you want them, but they weren't available tonight. They'll be available the next meeting. But I didn't know if you wanted to push it forward.
Well, we
or not.
obviously need a contract with them.
Right. And town council has reviewed, and they've agreed that the form of the contract that's proposed is good. And the next step is for you to vote to,
Use them as,
yeah.
vote to use them as our consultant.
Right.
Do you really want to reuse them?
I found them to be more than professional and proficient at their work.
You mean after Durkee and Cooper Farms drainage plans all failed?
I would say that didn't fall on them, their design. The design was
Third
fine.
party review?
The third-party review, the failure wasn't because of the design. The failure was due to the silt that washed into the infiltration basin. Because of stripping the site, there was no protections of the soils. It all washed into the infiltration basins.
Mhm.
Well, it wasn't just that, it was also that they were misrepresented as to the conditions of the material
It's a
out there.
13-foot pond at Durkee that was a vernal pool.
Yeah, we do need peer review. I think we're missing the point that we do need a peer review out there. And we've held Green feet more to the fire about more inspections. If they have an issue, that they need to make us aware of it. So I think we've moved.
I mean, even New Estate Road has got serious curb problems. We brought that up. We wanted different things. They wanted the standard curbing. It's all broken up, just like we said it would be. And there's puddling. That's a $2 million road. Not even a year out, 2 years out. I think you should take another look at the quality of Green. I think they're just collecting a check. I don't think they're doing enough due diligence.
Have we requested any competitive bids?
3 years ago, we did request it. Nobody submitted. And we did also ask Green International to adjust their fee structure. 3 years ago, we felt like there was some fee
There's a
creep,
little.
and they didn't bring it down. But again, I've always found it to be proficient and professional.
I think their judgment's flawed.
Well, now we have an engineer too. Back then we didn't, right?
We do have a town
Town
engineer.
engineer, so.
He tends to weigh in as well with Green.
So what is the difference in the contract that they're putting together, or that's before us
Just-
now versus the last one? Or it's the same
Just
contract?
update, I didn't go word for word, but it's just this year's version of the master service agreement.
Hadn't it lapsed? We were doing it without a,
They've been working without an agreement
Yeah,
for
without
some
a-
How
time.
long is it for? I can't remember when I
Well,
read it.
it's to a maximum of $50,000. So, for example.
So it's not for a period of time?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So it's to a maximum of $50,000 of task orders. For example, the first task order would be the construction inspections at Jones Meadow, where we got the estimate from Green for $8,500 for the construction inspections for the first construction season. Roger provided the check to cover that amount, and we would have a task order under that that gives the specific work, the specific inspections that'll be done this year, and then we get inspection reports after each inspection.
Yeah, we do.
So-
We do get inspection reports now all the time, like,
Yeah.
whereas before we didn't. That was one of the things that came out of Turkey's.
No, we got them, it was just, you didn't,
Yeah.
the board didn't see them.
Well, okay.
So, given that there are several subdivisions under construction, I wouldn't anticipate that it would take long to burn through the $50,000 cost limit on this.
Would it be worthwhile asking for competitive bids?
That 50,000
I think
is
so. I think you should put them out to bid.
Yeah, it's, okay, the board would choose one engineer to use, or I guess multiple engineers to use, depending on how many contracts we want to oversee. So we can schedule that for next month.
You're gonna do an RFI for a couple of different engineering firms?
That would have to go through town administrator's office.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
Like, I can only say it again,
Yeah.
professional.
Okay.
I've been more than happy as a member of the board to review the work that they've done and found it professional and proficient, so
Yeah, but is it effective?
I think so. I think that the issue has more been with the development of some of the sites, not necessarily the peer review or the design.
I think they brought up a
Some of
lot.
the residents in those developments might argue differently.
I think what?
Well, again, my exposure to Green International has only been in the last year, and they were able to provide a lot of robust information as we were doing the review of the applications in front of us, so I thought that their work was really good. As for anything prior to this year, I can't speak to that.
The fact that to go out and get other bids, I don't think that hurts anything. I mean, it's, it's always good to be competitive. I have, since Durkee, I've had no problem with Green, actually. I think they listened to the concerns we had at Durkee when everything happened out there, and they've addressed, in my mind, most of the issues that we had, and give us a nice, concise answer. So, but I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, what kind of information would you like to gather from engineers? Or what would you use to decide?
Well, if we put this out to bid last time, wouldn't we have that documentation to repurpose and maybe refresh our memories about that?
If I'm to ask for information, what
Why
kind
don't
of
we do it this way? Why don't we ask
Ask.
the town engineer
Mhm.
what he would like to see?
Okay.
Doesn't that make more sense, so that we can, since he's gonna oversee it and look at most everything anyway, what would he like to see in a report?
It's a good idea.
And then, once in a while, I get their little strokes of genius. They don't come often, but they do.
We captured that one.
But again, just to reiterate, it's not the quality of the report. It's the accuracy of the report.
Okay.
It's not the items in the report. It's, are they right? Is their third peer review accurate? In other words, did they look at the borings the right way? Do they understand the drainage of the site? It's not an accident that Durkee is now a pond.
I get that, and we did hire an outside consultant to look.
And we talked about this ad nauseum when we approved that site. And we said they were gonna have drainage problems, and Green signed off on it anyways, and every one of those people downstream from that pond are running a sump pump 24/7.
Wow.
In perpetuity.
We did hire an outside consultant, that is true, so.
And by the way, everybody at the bottom of Cooper is running a sub pump in perpetuity. Did you know that?
I don't know.
That's,
So that's why I'm saying, next time they do this, they better be right.
but That's not something that's covered under subdivision.
But they get the drainage plan, they sign off that it's gonna work.
But the drainage, right, the drainage is not for the lots, the drainage is for the roadway.
Site.
The roadway.
Yeah, they're not,
Which
they
drains the
can't
site.
handle groundwater outside of the right of way.
Right, but it does drain the site.
Drains the right of way.
Well,
No, you don't have that authority to review the drainage for a lot.
So what, you're saying that the hydrology is
That
only
would-
germane to the road? So when you do a site and you put a road in and you calculate the hydrology, it's only the road?
That's the-
You don't have to
that's-
account for the runoff coming off the hill?
That's the limit of the jurisdiction of the planning board. Building code can cover the drainage on the lot, and that's why they do the foundation drains.
So we only need to care about if the road drains.
The, where the groundwater is now and where the ground,
Right, pretty
whether or
close
not
to
you
the-
need a sump pump is not reviewable under the subdivision control law.
I saw Mr. Knights, I'm waiting for Martin to finish.
Am I,
You have to have them come up to the mic.
Yeah, if you're gonna talk, you gotta come up here, by the way, Roger.
You go to the mic.
Just a quick comment.
There are 37 people watching us on TV, so we don't want them to miss anything.
There might be 38.
And there might be, but we're not arguing with anybody, so it's a low night. We'll have to see what Nielsen says about tonight.
I just thought Green was, through the review process that I had with them, they were very thorough. And they just follow the regs. Whatever the regs say to do is what they comment on. But as far as like drainage and stuff like that, they don't witness the testing of the material itself. They're relying on
The engineer.
the engineer.
That's the problem we had at
And
Turkey.
that's what went wrong there.
Mhm. Yeah, that was wrong with Turkey.
Back now.
Yeah, you can go back.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can have your seat back.
So is that a requirement we should add then? That it can't just be a literature review, it has to be some substantive quality to it.
Yeah,
If we're gonna do that, we should bump the number up from 50,000 because they're gonna be spending more money. If they're gonna be on site for boring or deep hole or perks or any of that stuff.
But does the risk you mitigate with that outweigh that? I mean, you could save a lot of money down the road. If you get a drainage on a road wrong, that could cost us a lot of money.
the old days, we used to do test pits. We used to witness them. We used to have Ed Chang do them. If there was an issue with, if we thought the site was wet and there was going to be a problem when you put the road in, the one that comes to mind is Roddy's. When they were going to take out 20 feet of fill, we made them do test borings past the 20 feet.
right, that's
make sure
because
the
they were
material-
taking out
Right, but-
all the gravel on that hill.
Right, but it made sense because we wanted to see what the drainage would look like after it was done, so.
Yep,
maybe
and that
we-
was a thing that the planning board undertook in the preliminary subdivision.
Right, so
phase.
maybe
They
we
asked
should
for
talk
that.
to the town engineer, since he's the one who's ultimately gonna own everything, to see if maybe we need to stiffen the bylaw a little bit so that we're looking at the actual material. We're not, it's not coefficients
Yeah.
and calculations and all this other stuff. that-
Right, because if another town's been able to successfully address this, then that would be a good thing to know, but.
Okay,
At least if it does go wrong, we can say we did our due diligence.
But let's-
and we're
let's-
covered.
I'm in agreement with what we should maybe take a look at another bid process or talk to our town engineer how we should move forward. In the meantime, there are currently a couple projects.
Yeah, no, we need
before
to, we need to.
We
keep
want to make
moving
sure we can
forward.
keep things moving forward.
Yes.
Is there a lesser number or a lesser amount we can move them forward to say, or at least approve?
50,000 only gonna last couple, 2 subdivisions, 3 subdivisions, I mean, it's not gonna last that long.
So, would you be comfortable moving forward with them on the ones that they're already looking at?
Yeah, I just so you understand my intent, I just don't think you should roll a contract forward without challenging it year over year, especially to an oversight engineer.
I'm
Right, any of the work that's done is done under a specific task order. If you want to move away from green, then you just wouldn't approve the next task order.
Fair enough.
Okay, so why don't we leave it like that, and then talk to the town engineer.
So can we move forward without taking any action tonight, or should we take some action to keep them under contract?
We
for-
should vote to keep them under contract, I would think.
Okay, that's,
It's up to you.
Yeah, I think.
I'd make a motion to keep them under contract until task order changes occur, or we decide to move forward in another direction.
Anyone want to
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 You gotta do it with us. You know, if you're gonna,
In unison. I can't sing either, so.
anything else? Why are you here, Roger? You're not even on the agenda, by the way.
I thought I was here for covenant endorsement.
Here he is.
Yes,
Is he under board business?
yes.
Oh, okay, well, let's do him right now then.
Says
Get him out of here.
administrative.
Where are we?
Well, just because we modified the
Oh, the
the model, the.
affordable units.
thing of the affordable, that's
Right, so,
It's the model house, right?
an administrative, well, two issues. Need an administrative amendment to the prior approvals to switch the affordable units from 1 and 19 to number 5 and 19. So that would just be amending condition number 13. So if you wouldn't mind voting to amend condition 13.
So that it includes lot 5 and 19?
Yes. As written.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Second.
Aye. You can say aye now.
Can I vote on it?
Yeah, yep, and that's just for Anna's signature.
That just needs Mark's signature.
Just,
This one's
Just Anna's signature?
Anna's signature.
Do you want to sign it?
Yep.
Mara, did you want to mention the other thing about the apartment?
yep,
Oh,
yep. Roger has requested using Lot 1 for a model home. Lot 1 is right up against Spectacle Pond Road. We've done model homes on most of the recent subdivisions. So it would require a lot release just for that one lot.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll let you sign. Everybody sign.
Wait, I can sign this?
Yes.
You're a little slow tonight.
You're just like speeding through.
No, we want to get out of here by 7.
The tavern stays open later today.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh. No, I need a real pen.
You want this one?
Still, also the Main Street Bank pen. How the hell we get that one?
Somebody signed on my name.
Oh, shit, I did.
And I knew he would swear. I
You
knew he
cannot
would
say
get
that
it
on
without
public
swearing.
television.
So you can sign on my name. Does it matter?
Just sign over it.
Don't we get fined for that?
Why did
Scratch
you
it
put
out.
names where they're supposed to go?
Well,
Because
you
the
know, yours is even
registry
first.
needs us to put the names in, finally. Let me print another one out.
I did that with a car title not too long ago. It's really
I wasn't even looking. I was just,
Anna, I told you that he would swear tonight.
excuse me. I don't know if that word that I
That's-
used was an actual swear. Can you print it right this second?
Working on it.
Sorry, Roger.
Wow.
You were 2 signatures away.
Maren, Maren, I have a clean copy if that would be
Oh, yeah.
helpful, and then you can make a copy of it.
We only need one.
We only
That's
need
why I
one?
made
I'll sign it
two
first.
On the right line?
Those are the wrong ones.
I got top billing on that one. I'm getting too old.
Oh, I had 3 in there? Okay.
Anything else? Is that it, for Roger, or do we got more stuff coming?
That's it for Roger.
So, Maren, just make sure that is the correct one. that-
you want me to get that to Paul?
I'll need to get it notarized.
Okay.
Aren't you a notary, Mark? You're not? You know, actually, you probably should be.
Why?
They go well with the engineering degree.
No, but I'm saying, shouldn't you, so that you can notarize, thank you, Roger.
Good night, Roger.
Can't
No,
you,
you should
so you
hire
should
a
be able to
notary.
notarize our signatures?
Diane Corey's a notary, and then there's usually a notary on staff in the library.
So you have to go there and tell them to witness.
So, we also have goals. Wasn't that one of the other added admin items to talk about?
Okay. Do you want to talk about goals?
Well, I wanted to reiterate the importance of goal number 1 and 9 around staffing needs. So to the degree that we can make sure to start focusing on that this summer, I think that would be really great.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I would agree as well.
And then I was going to add whether we wanted to consider adding two other items. One of them we did talk about at the retreat around the communication component, and I think that, along with the welcome packet, can all be part of one of our goals. It's something that I think we can accomplish fairly quickly. And then the other one being perhaps reviewing the town sign bylaw, whether we wanted to
No.
take a look at that. No.
Why not?
I hate that. That whole discussion went nowhere.
The reason is that we actually have a signed bylaw here in town. That's a pretty good one.
It's just not enforced?
Roland presented on that, and
Roland said
he's
he wouldn't
not
enforce
staffed
it.
to do it. Just no way he could cover it.
So what's the use of having a signed bylaw?
That's what we said.
So if we revisit
Oh, good,
it,
I'm
we're
glad
really
I'm not
talking
missing
about
anything.
increasing staffing in the building department.
And he said doesn't have the time or the manpower to do it.
But
so-
there aren't that many signs in town.
No, he went through the process. It was way more involved than what we thought.
Oh, really?
Oh, the documentation, the follow-up, and then,
The
so
process
there has to be a
in
whole,
enforcement is
yeah,
hard.
very hard.
So, yeah, would never really.
So people can just do whatever they want?
Well, no, I mean,
With the bylaw in place.
He does- When there's an egregious violation, he'll go out and make a visit. He'll even send a registered letter, or Shelley will.
Okay.
They'll follow up on egregious violations, but for every single, little neon open sign that might be in a window that isn't allowed,
Okay.
he's not gonna stop. But
well, and that was the other thing. There
you
was a
put the
lot of,
floppy blowing man up on the curb, he's stopping by,
Right.
So,
yeah, there were some, like, little minor violations that weren't really aesthetically visible unless you were, like, up close, and I think, and you went up for like a half an hour. It was a lot that we hadn't considered, and I don't know that there was a general feeling from even the Rotary Club that you needed this, that it looked so bad that we needed to address it.
But like, okay, let's use an example, like that golf place on the Common.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks awful,
But it complies.
but it complies, right? It does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most festivals, like internally lit neon, that's the stuff that they go after.
Well, but the internally lit is allowed.
Now, is it now?
It is.
And, yeah.
Yeah. When it last,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
you remember the process.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, well, I
Right.
just remember us over the last year talking a lot about needing to do something about it, so that's why I brought it up.
Oh,
But
so
if
what
the board
is that?
doesn't feel like we can do anything at this point because of resources, then that's a different topic.
Well, no, we could. It just,
No,
you'd
I
be in the
wouldn't.
same boat with how you're gonna,
I would suggest that we have so much in front of us this year that
Yeah.
we would have a difficult time addressing it.
Let Roland, if it's an issue, let him address it and then send it to the ZBA if there's a problem, but, yeah.
Okay.
That's a fight I don't think we want to fight. Anything else?
Nope, like I said, just making sure that we include having the welcome pack created for this year, I think would be helpful.
So on line items 1 and 9 for goals, number 1, just so people are aware of what we're talking about in the public, is office maintain professional presence in town hall for all planning board, master plan implementation committee, and planning department duties. In FY20, personally maintain a more suitable work-life balance for Maren, who gave back over 60 hours of vacation time, actually over 100 hours of vacation time, because of the workload that she takes on. So
Yep.
in looking at that, I think we're not just looking at maintaining a professional presence, but increasing a professional presence in town.
so one body, one full-time staff.
Yeah, to work with Maren full-time.
How does that, I mean, how does HR work with that? You toss out a level, and then you say, I need like certain level at some rate.
Well, it's all wrapped up in the
Budget.
fiscal year budget process. Any request that we would make now would either be considered a fall town meeting to fund somebody for the rest of the fiscal year, or it would be bumped till the May town meeting, so next July 1st it would start, somebody could start. You would figure out I guess together we'd figure out which tasks and duties should be assigned to whom and what level.
And then we give it to HR and they can grade it.
Grade.
Now, you have somebody, how many hours do you have now?
Well, this week, Lucy is at 10 hours a week. As soon as July 1st starts, she's approved up to 19 hours a week. So I'm expecting that will help.
For the balance of the year.
That's where we're funded for the balance of the next fiscal
And
year.
you need another 20 hours per week? Is that what you're saying?
So when we're looking at, so
Think of
when
public
I
laws.
think about the position and working in a building department next to Planning and Land Management Concord and Newton before that, the number of staff that these other towns have for the amount of planning that occurs is significant compared to Littleton. It just shows you how much work Maren actually does for us and for this town.
She's just that good.
She is. And on top of it, but I really think that somebody that has an education in planning coming to her, maybe fresh out of college or, a few years' experience.
With somebody with a degree.
Well,
it has-
and something that we could do is essentially benchmark what other towns are doing and
Mhm.
identify those resources so that we have a better understanding of, the data, if you will,
Right.
as to what's going on in other towns, so that we know that when we make our request to FinCom or however
Town
the process
administrator.
works, and town administrator, yes, we have information to back up what we're
Who does
requesting.
who's going to do the research?
Actually, I asked that question on the listserv, and there were probably 50 towns that weighed in on how they staff their planning.
Do you know what the
department.
general ratio is?
No.
Is it like one senior planner to two junior staffers per what?
Well, the way I asked the question was based on population and then just kind of a general idea of how much work they had in front of them. And it's really all over the place. I'm happy to share the
Yeah, if you
the
could get- if you
spreadsheet.
So you already have the information.
Yeah, it's not
Organized
distilled
yet.
yet, but.
Okay.
it's- Yeah. Mhm.
I think that would be helpful.
It would be a good starting point. for us to take a look.
I'll actually be in town next week, all week.
Mhm.
Technically, I'm on vacation.
Me too.
So if you want me to come down
I'll
and,
be in Vancouver.
oh, you're leaving? So, let's forget it. So I'll help you put it together.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'll send you the spreadsheet.
I love the idea of looking at somebody right out of school, or a couple years out of school, with urban planning experience. I think given everything we've got coming up, that would be a huge asset and would really help you, and you could mentor them, and they'd be bringing some new knowledge to the board.
Is there a degree in that?
Urban planning, oh, yeah.
Yeah, usually a master's by the
Yeah.
time you.
A master's?
work in, Yeah.
But they have some undergrad, too, that,
Well, what's a master's gonna, the rate on that's gonna be what?
oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the experience. so.
Yeah, if they're right out of
Do
school.
you have a summer intern program too? Do you have a?
We're not funded for that, no.
You need a
Could be
full-time
funded for that.
person.
You could, yeah, there's a lot of different ways could. look at
$20 an
that.
hour? All right,
So
let's
Maureen,
put
when you
that
send
on.
that out, could you send it to all of us?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Keith could have got us somebody for free.
Oh, that's
I
a.
hear the comment, to be honest.
But wait, is our goal to make the September meeting for this, the fall meeting, October meeting? Do we want to be on the October, do we want to put this forward by October?
No, we would have to probably submit a budget to the town. That's all we'd have to do for this.
Should they have to vote on it though, right?
Well, no, the town, not the town people, the
No, it gets voted
FinCom and the selectmen would have to vote.
To put it on,
increase
the-
it.
Part of
they'd have to
town
put it on a
meeting.
town meeting.
Yeah.
When does that have to be in by?
I don't have a calendar of this coming fall town meeting in front of me. I
mean,
don't know
tech-
what the
We
procedure.
only have 3 more meetings before that.
But technically, why does the town have to weigh in on,
Because it's a
We
budget.
need
It's
the budget.
appropriation.
Yeah. It
Money,
happens every
money,
time.
money.
Mhm, yeah. Well, technically, I think from
Let
the
'em
past
weigh in
couple
when
of
you have a
years,
police officer.
early September is about the
I know
time.
who, September, right?
I hope so.
Early September.
That's 23, that's 3
Yeah,
meetings.
but I mean, they don't, if we get a fireman, they don't have to.
Remember,
weigh
we
in
can
on
always
it.
have another meeting, so.
No.
Yeah, that-
The department budget, the town votes on
Um,
the department, the whole.
I get that,
budget.
yeah, they do.
So
it.
why don't we time box it? Why don't we say by the next meeting, we'll have our proposal for the position with backup, and then we'll make sure we submit before the second meeting, right? So that would give us plenty of time.
Sure.
That work?
Yep. Great.
Do you know what you're asking for, though? Do you want, is it 40-hour body? Is it 20-hour body? What do you need?
All right, go ahead, Gary, you gotta come up front, though.
Isn't she supposed to know?
What?
40 hours.
This is our goals, what we wrote at the,
I know, but I mean,
yes. So,
How
I don't know how
how
your
much do you want
company
to have
works, but in
done?
my company, you.
We need a lot done.
Go ahead.
Mike Zeldin, 11 Loyan Street. Let me suggest, to make your job even more interesting, in conversations with other towns, more or less, not parallel, in the amount of work that, effort Marin's already put into sort of scouting this out, the other thing you might want to consider doing is taking a close look at the way this board works and the nature of the tasks that confront you. Because it could very well be, as other towns have found, that selecting and deciding how much assistance you need for Marin is a function of how you work. And it turns out that in many cases, towns find that their planning board or a similar function is not working. They think it's working because all the board members sit and vote to do it, but in terms of administrative flow and analysis, like a lot of the questions you asked tonight, all the questions flow. You could sort of divide them up, maybe 3 or 4 categories at the most, covering the scope of your work. And that will dictate more what you're looking for. To simply hire an assistant for Marin, I can tell you this from firsthand experience, is fine as long as you understand very clearly what your committee is actually doing. Now, for our committee, it's pretty easy because there's very little left out, okay? There isn't too much we don't touch. So all I'm saying, not that you folks are excluded from anything, but I think you better come to an understanding of the real nature of what you're doing. And in each of the questions and things that arose here, they're sort of like symptomatic of tasks that are in front of you on a routine basis, no matter how many times you meet. And that will indicate to you something about the level of professionalism that you need to complement Marin, because it's not inconsiderable.
So what you're saying is we need somebody more than just clerical. We need
Oh, yes, you need.
somebody inherently,
I think you have
We
some
need a
raw
planner.
talent already, you have some raw talent already in place. As, to be perfectly blunt, it's underutilized. Sorry, Marion. And it has nothing to do with sign-offs and review of documents. It has to do with insight, not just how town works, but how planning works. And very frankly, compared, with few exceptions, most of you are amateurs compared to real planners. So I think it's important that you take advantage, and that's perfectly reasonable. And I think it's useful for you to take a look, how can you work, and how do you work, how you actually work, and hire the appropriate kind of professionals that you actually could use to make your work more effective and efficient. Thanks for your attention.
so if you look at it the other way, what you're saying is Marin has a wealth of knowledge. She's very good at what she does. What we need to do is relieve her of the mundane stuff that she's saddled with now.
You're ready, this is something that you have to discern yourself, okay? I can't, for me to drop it, in your committee and say, oh, that's the case. All I'm saying is that you already have a resource on hand at the moment who has a lot of different kinds of abilities. And the question is, how do you work so you get the maximum, as it were, in planning? So you have a piece of it here already. And the question is, how do you work? What pieces do you need in addition? Relieving her is not the issue. It's her ability to manage and allocate the tasks to people with less experience and less know-how. And that can't be anybody. It cannot be, I'm sorry, it can't be someone fresh out of school. Littleton's outgrown the amateur hour.
Well, it could very well be somebody right out of school who has a degree in urban planning. Or it could be somebody with a lot of experience who is a peer of Marin's. Or, there's a lot of different ways we could look at it.
Honestly,
Depends on the skill sets we need to complement yours.
Exactly. But I think you should do your assessment on what you think your needs are, and then we can evaluate that, and based on what our expectation is, and we can decide what our recommendation is at what level to hire. I think that's a pretty valid process that most hiring managers go through.
Could be, but that's not been the history of many of committees. And then this one is, and this committee historically, it's not on you, this committee historically, if you look back, has not had the opportunity, given all the stuff that comes at them, to take, the time out, basically, to say, how do we work what's in front of us now that Littleton is here, not here anymore?
And just so you know my point about summer interns, the reason why you hire summer interns is that's a good recruiting bench for you. If you do find talent, it's a good way to get somebody without going through the front-end recruiting process, so you just had a chance to vet them, usually get them a little bit cheaper. So that's why you bring in summer interns. It provides you a good basis to bring in new employees for.
I think that when you get the feedback from other towns, you'll find out about summer interns and people fresh out of school.
I have 3 of them right now.
But wonderful, I mean, you're in a setting that's quite different, I think.
Thank you.
That's just a comment. Thanks.
Okay, so I thought we were trying to be less work, now we're making more work,
We're moving forward. That's a good thing.
moving
Yep.
forward.
Would it be helpful to go and talk to some other towns? I mean, Ed, I know you're really familiar with Acton, but maybe we, and
I'm not
Concord.
Concord.
oh, Concord, that's right,
and
but we
Newton.
could go and talk to Kristen. I mean, I'd be happy to go and talk to a couple of towns, just to see how other towns are structured, just an informal data gathering.
Yeah, a lot of, I have shared the spreadsheet that I have with you.
Okay.
It's not well organized at the moment, but the raw data is there.
Okay.
And when are you heading out?
Next Tuesday,
For how long?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay.
Is there Wi-Fi?
Yes.
And in your absence, who do we see?
For
What?
my email response says, I'll get back to you when I can. If you have planning emergencies, feel free to email the chair. Say voicemail will say the same thing.
Got it.
All right.
All right, do we have any other business, or,
Now we have to reorganize.
it's time for elections?
We do elections?
Yep.
I nominate Mark for chairman.
I nominate Ed for chairman.
Okay, it's a toss-up.
I second for Ed.
It's done.
Mark, you need a break, man.
I'm not nominating
I know, I'm just
me,
saying.
I accept.
We gotta vote you first before you.
Well, I accept the nomination.
Okay,
Should we debate?
so what?
Should
God,
we have
no.
a debate? No debate?
I don't think it's worth debating, is it?
Do you want to go to a vote?
I think we should go to a vote. All those in favor of Ed being chairman signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
done.
Say,
Okay.
it's easy.
You're now king.
I would like to nominate Anna as vice chair.
I second that nomination.
So moved.
We have easy over there.
Why? Was it, doesn't matter.
It does matter.
How?
No, I'm just,
What are you saying, Mark? What
no,
are your
nothing, I'm
thoughts?
just, no, I'm just, it's very, he's very easy, he's agreeing with everybody, I'm just surprised, that's all. I'm not.
No. I said, do you want to debate? You guys said no. So let's vote.
Okay, let's vote it then, I have no problem with that.
You're still running the election, so.
Well, you run it now, you're the chairman
You
now.
can run it through
He
Till-
gets to the
till
end.
Till I'm all done, all right, all those in favor of Anna being vice chair signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I accept the nomination.
Okay. So now what's next? Clerk.
I would like to nominate Delisa as clerk.
Yes. I second that.
Why? Why?
I did it for 3 years.
Oh, did you?
You can do
I was going to nominate you.
it. Ooh.
No, we're getting off with nothing. I'm getting off with nothing.
Oh,
That's-
I'll be jobless.
Okay, all those in
Vacation time.
favor of Delisa being clerk signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I accept the nomination.
All right. We done?
No, we have some
No idea
appointments,
what
so we
it
have
is.
some
But you'll tell me.
working
I
groups
just
and
signed
boards that we
it.
need to nominate people.
Uh-uh.
So CPC requires one member of the planning board as designated by said board.
What's CPC?
Oh,
Community
you
Preservation Committee.
you should be on that. Goes right up with clerk.
Carrie, would you be interested in CPC?
Sure, as long as they have remote access.
I don't.
They do share a lot of information remotely, so I don't think it's an issue.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I'll nominate Jerry to be our representative for CPC.
Well, you don't have to vote all those, do you?
I think it's a nomination, yeah.
Oh.
We'll move all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 So currently, the planning board, Anna has been the Master Plan Implementation Committee representative. I understand that you would like to step away from that and take on some other tasks.
Yes.
So looking for another member, I'm sorry, you're supposed to run this, pal.
No, I'm not, I'm nobody anymore. I'm back to no one.
What are all the?
So technically,
Can I
that's a-
ask a question first? So what are all of the openings? Just those? Just the
No,
ones that are
there's
listed on the
others.
agenda?
Right,
Yeah, I
these
see.
are the planning board appointments.
Okay,
There are other openings that are appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
okay. But the ones that we have to take care of, where we have to participate or send somebody, it's just these three?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So MPIC technically is a 3-year term. You don't have to. It doesn't always happen if somebody doesn't stay on a board or whatever.
And what's TAC?
Transportation Advisory Council or
Oh, you're a
committee.
better MIPC person. You should be a MI master.
You're just trying to load me up with
Well,
everything,
you
just
got
so I can
clerk.
pay
Clerk's
my
not-
due.
Clerk's nothing, you got a stamp, boom, done.
Okay. Yeah, I would do MPIC.
Okay.
Before you leave, attendance is required at our meetings. You're a member and will vote and participate, so just, it is not it is work.
It's legit.
Okay,
Just let you know.
I work all the day, all the time.
Just-
You have an
She's not
issue
afraid
with
of
that, or?
She's not afraid of work.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I nominate Delisa for the Master Plan Implementation Committee representative for the planning board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm on the Senior Housing Trust, I'd like to stay on that, and I'm also was asked to be on the new 5G cell tower thing through
Okay.
the, I'd like to
The
go
working
into
group,
the
yeah.
working group for that one too. So they want to put 5G on telephone poles now
Yeah.
through the highway department
Do you want
and
me-
the water department, the
Yeah.
light department. I want to stay,
I support you. Just want to ask, who asked? Who's asked?
what's his name?
Nick
Nick,
Lawler.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, from the light department.
So, Mark, I'm happy to hear that you want to stay on the Affordable Housing Trust.
No, I
because
do.
I
Right.
wasn't getting the message from you, so.
No, I was gone.
Yeah.
And I did send Cindy a note that I wasn't going to
Yeah,
make it.
yeah.
I did. No, I do understand.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Well, if you don't, then let me
No,
know.
I do
So
understand.
that's not technically a planning board appointment, but,
But we still need, we have representation there.
yeah, that'll be great.
TAC.
Transportation Advisory Committee or Council, I forget which one. It's committee, right?
Council.
It's council.
Council, they meet, what, quarterly?
They meet quarterly. So currently, I am the TAC representative, but they've decided to meet on Tuesdays, and that's the one night I work late for the town of Concord, so I haven't been able to make a meeting in a long time. So I'd be looking for somebody else to take on TAC. It's quarterly, it's 4 times a year, but I just can't do it. They share a lot of good information. One of the recommendations I thought a TAC member from this board should look at is also trying to incorporate the BPAC committee to consolidate, because we do have a lot of
What's BPAC?
bike and pedestrian.
Oh, yeah.
TAC and BPAC are very similar in what their goals are. My recommendation is somehow to consolidate the two together. And if somebody be willing to take it on, because I can't do Tuesday nights, and that's the night they meet.
I nominate Anna to do that.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by
Aye.
saying aye. Aye.
So currently, Ann and I sit on a working group with the select board, 2 select board members for the selection for review of applications for recreational or retail sales for adult use marijuana. I'd like to remain on that one as a planning board member. I'm not sure where Anna is on that.
I'd like to remain on it as well. It is a lot of work, though.
But it's going to end soon, hopefully.
We hope.
Jerry, do you have any thoughts? Would you
What, be on that board?
prefer to be on that one?
No, no, no. No, no, no.
And then I was talking to Delisa earlier today, talking about, I sit on a working group for 12 Robinson Road, trying to make a determination on best way to move that structure forward with who and whom and how. It's been a good working group, one selectman, and I think 2 or 3 historic committee members. They also, the 3 also serve on other boards, so they might be representing
Oh,
other
that's
boards.
the house?
That's the antique house that the town bought for the deed. If we ever move it, it will be deed restricted. It's not currently because we own it, we don't need to. I'm happy to stay on it if nobody wants to take it on, but if somebody else would be interested,
Sounds like a labor of love.
if somebody else would want to take it on, I'd be happy to give it up as well.
I
I know,
have-
Delisa, I didn't know we were going to task you with so many things tonight, so I don't want to.
No, yeah, I'd rather stay on the Littleton Littleton
Station.
Station Working Group,
Okay.
you know.
Mhm.
And I have form-based code as well, so.
Have a party.
Okay, I'll stay. Sorry.
You done?
Are there any other working groups that we're not? on?
TAC alternate?
Mr. Montanaro,
Gary Mark.
I nominate Mark.
Corey's on it, and I enjoyed listening to Gary. He's very
All right.
knowledgeable. I'll be an alternate for that.
All right. So if you're going to be, I'll make the motion.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
And then we have one more endorsed plan to do tonight?
We have the final plans for the Weber Village. They've done most of the items that are required before endorsement, but where I'm going to be away, I didn't know if you wanted to take the opportunity to sign them now, and we'll just hold all that material until everything is ready to go. We don't have the information yet on the curb cut on the street opening permit from, well, not street opening, the MassDOT.
MassDOT approval.
Access approval. We don't have that.
Is that the curve that's noted in the?
Mhm.
Okay.
Right, well, that's part of it.
Okay.
And Green did the back check of all the items in the last memo, and they came up with 2 items. The first was whether or not, let's see, the fence for the, foundation, the
Footing.
Oh,
footing, thank you, for the fence. I don't do building inspections. The footing for the fence, if that interfered with the septic field, and it does not. The other comment that was still hanging in the ether was, I believe that you had approved the landscape plans. At one point, there was a discussion of whether or not you wanted the number of trees to be removed to equal the number of trees and bushes that are being planted. It was my recollection that you were past that and had already approved the landscape plan as is, but that was, Green's question was
Did you?
where you were on that.
We approved the landscape plan as it was presented.
It's a
We
lot
didn't-
of trees
we
you got
didn't-
to
We
replace.
didn't make that requirement. Yeah, I mean.
Is he gonna whack the site?
Pretty much.
You're gonna clear it all,
He's
right?
going to keep one side, I think, treed on the right side of the road going in. Some trees remain in the buffer on the back.
What about the hill? He's gonna knock all the trees down on the hill?
I believe that.
How is he going to ensure that hill doesn't slide off? Since it's all sand and gravel.
We have a septic plan.
Martin, it sounds like there are probably still enough outstanding questions that we might want to wait till your return.
I was gonna grab the landscape plan.
So you already signed off on it?
Nope.
No, we have not endorsed it
We
yet.
haven't endorsed it, we voted to approve, that's all.
The other question that I had, Maureen, was did we actually
back
have the easement agreement
Want the above?
regarding?
No, we don't have the easement.
Okay,
Seen the
yeah,
drop
so we
off?
definitely can't go there.
He cannot whack the trees on that. You'll have a huge problem.
There's
So
no
this,
tree.
so this here stays,
Yeah, that's the back of the buffer.
right, so this line, the trees remain outside this line.
So,
Right, so it looks like it's untouched with this mark here, this demarcation.
He's not touching that.
Right.
He's not touching
He's staying on the
anything.
flat area.
He's just on the flat. So he's gotta take all that down. It should be all right. As long as he's not hitting the hills.
Right. There's got no room for him. I mean, it's got plantings going in along the road.
Right. And
And
he'll
then
have something.
then
in
the
front
street
of that,
trees.
In between the houses.
Right.
He's really gonna put a tennis court in.
2.
2,
Mm-hmm.
public use.
Yeah, he's gonna have a MOU with the schools.
Or is there gonna be a?
He's gonna, yeah, there's gonna be access from the school. He's also gonna prepare a third pad on the school property. Just
A
preparation.
walkway to walk in, or?
No, a third tennis court location, just a pad. The school,
Just
if
a
the school
pad.
decides to build it.
He's
we
gonna
got the
build
plan.
those courts, though.
Yeah, complete.
Clay.
That was, yeah, no, I tried to get reinforced concrete, but I couldn't get support. So they went to asphalt.
I still think we should go for clay.
I did bring that up.
So,
Less injuries.
Anyway,
Okay, so I'll add that to the next agenda.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
keep it to, when he's king. Keep it till his after his coronation.
An MOU with the school,
Are we done? Oh, sorry.
what does that mean? Like, understanding what?
so that during school hours, or whatever hours the school might need them, that they'll be available to the schools and also to the public and also to the residents of. So if the school tennis team needs it for tournament time.
You're putting the two people that are here
there's
asleep.
The residents of the.
Mike, when is the next MPIC
Having a
meeting?
tennis tournament that I, you know,
Just had
usually
one 2 days
the
ago.
school set this
Oh,
up.
good.
I would actually like to ask a question of our new town administrator, and that is, given your experience in working in Princeton, is that right? What was the planning board role and
Who's gonna come?
and experiences with the staff in the planning department? Any words of wisdom from that experience that you have?
I think Princeton and Littleton are very dissimilar in regard to aspects that are coming before their planning board versus aspects that are coming before Littleton's planning board.
Okay.
I think perhaps Tingsboro is a better comparison, where I had worked prior to Princeton.
Okay.
And in Tingsboro, when I was there, which I left in 2015, I guess it was, they didn't have planning staff. I understand that since then they have hired planning staff, so in some ways also not entirely similar.
Mhm.
So, I think if you do look at comparing, I think Marin's approach to look at population perhaps is a good rubric, but also, the number of different applications coming in, because Littleton may be have more going on than another community, even though it may be similarly sized.
Mhm.
So doing some comparisons, not using, only, it's not easy to benchmark certain things. And so it's very easy to begin with a benchmark of population, but adding some other factors in gets a little bit complicated, as you can imagine, because how do you quantify the number of things coming into the office? Do you go by the number of subdivision, and then do you go by the number of A&Rs, and then do you go, how do you quantify it?
Right.
And
So that might be something more qualitative if we do have conversations with folks. Okay,
I do think so.
good. Great, well, thank you.
Sure.
Are we done? I want to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, all. Keep
Mike,
those
did you
cards
s-
and letters coming. What?
Absolutely.
So you realize